Good morning, everyone. I am so delighted to be here today to celebrate the achievement of my top priority for the short session, to raise Oregon's minimum wage. Yeah! Over the past few weeks, I've done a lot of talking about how important it is to raise for hardworking Oregonians to get a much-needed raise in order to keep up with the rising costs of housing, rent, food, and other necessities. Today, I am so pleased to be able to demonstrate with two real-world examples how raising the minimum wage will have a positive impact on the lives of Oregonians. First, I'd like to introduce you to Cecile Capriel. She moved here from Micronesia 8 years ago. Like so many, she came here in search of a better life. And that means a good job to help her provide for her 3 children. She found that job at PDX as a passenger service agent, essentially helping flyers get where they need to go. Every day, she gives it her all. But at $9.25 an hour, it's not enough. In the last 2 years, her rent has gone up 3 times. Last year, it went up by $100. What's worse, her hours were cut around the same time. Every time she gets ahead a little bit, another barrier gets in her way. Today, we are signing a bill that gets her a little closer to the American dream. It means that just an extra $15 or $20 a week starting in July. But for this mom of 3, there are months where that small amount will make a difference. Thank you, Cecile, for being here today and allowing me to share your story. Next, I'm pleased to introduce John Statner. John is one of the founders of First Call Resolution, a call center and contracted services company based out of Roseburg. He operates locations in Grants Pass, Coos Bay, Veneta, Eugene, Independence, and even Seattle. The company started in 2005, has grown every year since, and has almost tripled in size in the last 3 years. He employs almost 1,500 people. With a workforce that size, he was worried when he first saw the proposed ballot measures to raise the minimum wage. He was concerned that they raised wages too quickly for his businesses to accommodate. At the same time, he also understood that the cost of living was rising fast, and Oregonians, including his employees, were not always able to make ends meet. John says the solution presented to us today strikes the reasonable balance he was looking for. A sensible plan to increase the minimum wage that would allow his business to continue to grow while paying his employees above minimum wage with regular raises as they gain experience. As governor, and I want to say thank you, John, for being a poster child this morning. As governor, I'm extremely proud of the collaborative spirit of the stakeholder groups that worked to develop this legislation. Oregon has not only avoided a number of potentially problematic ballot measures, we have taken a very smart approach by implementing the raise in a way that makes sense for workers and for businesses, no matter where in Oregon they are. I know that neither the Senate President or the Speaker could join us this morning. I would like to give them a thank you as well for their leadership. And to many of the organizations that are here, I'm just so very proud of you for your collaborative efforts on this bill. And I'm so pleased to sign a bill that represents the innovative and collaborative spirit of Oregon. Next, I am very pleased to turn it over to our very own Senator Michael Dembro. Come on over.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. What kind of day is this?
It's a good one.
It's a great day. It's a great day for Oregon. It's a great day for workers. It's a great day for business owners. You know, I'm so proud of this legislature and this governor for getting us to this point. Like many of you who are behind me, a couple of years ago, we spent a lot of time knocking on doors, talking to voters at the time of the election. And what we heard from them was a clear message. If we elect you, you need to go to Salem and you need to raise the minimum wage. You need to give us paid sick leave. You need to make it so that working Oregonians, people who are working full-time, people who are doing work that we all depend on very desperately, can work full-time and make ends meet for themselves and their families without having to rely on charity or on public assistance. Last year, we did the paid sick leave. We knew that our job was not finished. And so we started working immediately on how do we get to raise Oregon's minimum wage in a way that's good for workers, but does not create burdens on business that will get in the way of our economic recovery. We started worked with many partners, and I just want to thank all of the economists. I want to thank the North Star Foundation for their great research work that helped us to come up with this unique three-tier system, three-region system that we wound up with, which people are talking about all over the country, and that I think will be very, very good for Oregon. I want to also, of course, thank our House colleagues. You'll be hearing from Representative Holvey in a moment. We worked very closely together on this bill. This bill would not have been possible without the strong support of our own Senate President, Peter Courtney. And although he can't be here today, I want you to all join me in thanking him for being a stalwart in support of this bill this session. The Senate President believed that passing this bill, addressing this issue, was not something that should be left up to the ballot because the solutions were going to be too complicated for that. And besides, this is why we were elected. We could have just said, no, let the voters deal with it. But that's not why we were elected. We were elected to pass smart legislation that does good things for all Oregonians. Finally, I cannot end without saying that, for me personally and for many of us, my inspiration throughout this struggle and also the effort to pass the paid sick leave has been our Senate President Pro Tem and former Majority Leader, Diane Rosenbaum. As many of you know, Diane has been a warrior for working Oregonians for many, many years, and we all thank her enormous. We owe her enormous thanks. Please join me again. Okay. Rep. Holvey.
Take it away.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Michael Dimbrow. It has been a long issue for us to deal with, the raising the minimum wage. When we first had bills come forward last session, we started those conversations, and so appreciate the governor for stepping in and convening a stakeholder work group as well as we continued to work on our proposal in the legislature. It was really instrumental that she got involved and helped us develop a more gradual phase-in for businesses. I think that's extremely important to recognize. But I think it's also, goes without saying that working families have been struggling for the last 30 years where their wages have remained stagnant and have actually decreased in their purchasing power, while the growth and the inequality of wealth in this country has continued to widen its gap. It's very difficult to address those issues, and when we hear Oregonians that are anguishing over their circumstances, their living conditions, and their inability to pay the basic necessities, it was really time for us to act. And the state, without the adequate revenue to address these basic needs for people, really needed to make some sort of effort to address this. And raising the minimum wage will help accomplish some of that. The work is not done. We still will have families that need employment-related daycare and the EITC. All of those things are still very important to working families, and we need to continue those efforts to address tax reform that will help prevent this kind of inequity from continuing to grow. I, like Senator Dimbrow, and I want to thank him. We worked on this together for a year now. And it was a very open process. We had numerous public hearings, work groups with many business organizations, groups, and labor organizations, and the citizens were also in our midst while we were talking about this. So this is a monumental progress, I think. But let's not forget that we still have poor in our communities. We will still have families that need help, and we need to continue to work to try to make this a better society. Thank you.
All right, let's sign the bill. Come closer, you guys. We're going to have to squeeze in. There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
A round robin of photos at this point. Thank you so much.